Hey there, Dan, back with another video. Thought I would just take a quick minute to make a short video to show off a few of the things that I've read recently. I got some brownies in the oven, so can't take too long on this. But one series that I just finished up that I thought was absolutely great is this new series from Image called Gehenna. I think it's Gehenna, Naked Aggression. This is a 4-issue miniseries written by Patrick Kindlon and drawn by Maurizio Rosenweig. And there's issue number 1. Kind of got a little bit of a Frank Miller type of look going on there. Issue 2 is the only one I have a variant cover on. It's a Nick Patera variant, which I really liked that one. Each of these comics has a variant and then another like naughty variant where it's the same thing but naked, which is kind of a weird gimmick. But issue 3 and then issue 4. I was pleased with this series, start to finish. The art was great. The story was fun. It's just a super fun comic. It's a satisfying comic because it's not trying to be anything too intellectual. I like intellectual comics a lot, but I also just like some fun, good old-fashioned action. This is an action comic through and through. And I'll start with just a little quick mention of what's in the back. There's a nice page from the writer Patrick Kindlon at the back of each issue, talking about some of his thoughts about the creation of the comic. And you know, it talks about certain pieces of media shape you, and one that got him was The Punisher number 36 when he was a kid. He says, Punisher 36 is no critic's idea of a brilliant comic book. The creative team that made that book would agree. This is a self-aware schlock from pure comic book men. It made its mark on me. The storytelling was wild. The violence was the hook, but the way it felt instructional was what thrilled my young mind. What if I ever needed to set a bunch of men on fire? Luckily, I had that issue of The Punisher from when I was 7 to hold my hand. What about a motorcycle drive-by shooting? Oh, we got that covered? Cool, that's information I can use. It goes on to just talk about what he wants are, you know, he's tired of being educated by comics, and as a certified adult, I require no sage-like wisdom or wise sagedom. Above all, no moral guidance. What I need is stories where men get kicked in the chest. Stories where guns only run out of ammo for dramatic effect. I need pulp, I need exploitation, I need fun. So that's kind of what they're trying to do with this comic, is just make a really fun comic. So the main character, Gehenna, is someone whose husband was killed, and the husband was in some way, you know, some kind of gangster, and had a contract put out on his head, and because he got killed or something, the contract on his life gets passed over onto his wife. So now there's a contract out on her head. And what happens is these people, these like mob bosses, keep trading the contract on her head out to more and more people. So she's constantly having to track down who it is that has the contract out on her life. And the guy who has the current contract has a son, this boy right here. And so she thinks if she can kidnap the son, she can sort of, you know, blackmail the guy into selling her back the contract on her life, thus, you know, ridding her of this fear that she's going to be killed at some point. So super cool action story. The art is a very European style, in my opinion. I'm not extremely familiar with all different flavors of European comics, but it just gives me that kind of European vibe. And almost every issue is just really great action. And who doesn't love a badass chick fighting off a bunch of bad guys? And she's not a bad person, but she's got to do what's got to be done. You might also see how it's laid out into these part 1, part 2, part 3. Each issue is separated into 3 parts. So there's 12 parts total, and it was originally serialized, I guess, in that anthology that Image came out with for their 30th anniversary in these 8-page installments. and I believe it was in black and white then. So the people on her trail are mostly women as well. So this first issue, when they're up on the roof, there's some guys following her and stuff, but she quickly dispatches them, and it goes into some of the backstory about her past. And this blonde is one of the main people that's after her, and this is the boss, this other woman here. And those are the main antagonists in the story, but it's just an awesome action comic. Take a look through a little bit more of this before we go on to the next title. There's your Patera variant. It's just always a lot of really nice stuff in the background. The artist does a lot of the background lettering and a lot of the sound effects and stuff. If the action's like turning upside down, he'll turn the onomatopoeias upside down as well, which I think is pretty creative. So she gets just beat up and bandaged up and just keeps on going. Try to see if I can hit some of the main plot points, but there's not many. It's just super fun action, but really good dialogue. I thought it was a blast, and I was very pleased when I got to the end to find out that this is just the start. They're going to be doing more series with this character, which is great. So this just finished up in September. It started in June, so June, July, August, September were when these 4 issues came out, 2025. This is the only character that's kind of like a little superhero-y, just because he's got this mask on. Can't remember what the deal is with this guy, but it's just great fight scenes. Here's some shots of the boss and the other woman that's after her. So it's very satisfying. Definitely recommend that one if you like cool action stuff. So this new Twilight Zone series came out. You know, I watched Twilight Zone reruns when I was a kid. Can't say I remember a whole lot of them specifically, but I'm grabbing this series because it is a 5-issue series of standalone comics. Here we got the lineup. The first issue that I'm holding here is by Dan Waters and Morgan Beam, but the rest of them are all by solo creators. So we've got Tom Scioli on issue 2, James Stokoe on issue 3, doing all black and white art, which I don't think I've ever seen James Stokoe just do all black and white. Super cool. Nate Powell on number 4, and Francesco Francavilla on number 5. So this first issue, Blanks, was the only one that had a writer and an artist. Dan Waters, and then Morgan Beam on the art. And it's about this character right here who he's super rich, a billionaire, Edward Kane, and he's using his fortune to try to get these guys to develop some solution, some drug that will allow him eternal life, because he's getting old, he doesn't want to die. He's got the money to try to prolong his life, reverse his aging. So he goes to this remote island where they're doing this secret experiment where all these rich people are hanging out. And he says that it's going to, they said we finally got the solution fixed up. We started looking into certain viruses. Did you know that some are capable of wiping our immune system's memory? It's a phenomenon called immune amnesia. And so what we thought, what if we do that for every cell in the body? And here it is, engineered from a disease that once killed us. A benevolent virus that will spread throughout humanity, acting as a factory reset on the aging process. That will make cells forget their decay and rejuvenate them. So it spreads through society like a virus, but reverses the aging process. And the guy's like, excellent, we'll administer it tonight. I will be patient 0. And he said, Mr. Kane, we've been over this. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but we still need to undertake a series of trials, hopefully within the next decade or so. And he's like, I'm not expected to survive a decade. This is utterly unacceptable, you understand? So he forces them to use the solution on them that night. And he's like, this is happening now. So they put him under. And here's your Twilight Zone twist when he wakes up. He is younger. The aging has been reversed. But as he goes out, there's no one there. And he finally starts to find some people and discovers they all have blank faces. There's no face on anyone. All the people can't talk. They don't have any features, and he's basically alone. And one of the main reasons he wanted to prolong his life was because he loves human interaction and he wants to enjoy the time with his grandchildren. And now it seems as though that's not going to be able to happen. Here's the scientist guy's last little bit of face going away. It went wrong. And this is the halfway point in the comic, but now it's like, what's going to happen from then? Is the whole world going to get overtaken by this virus because they let it loose? Or will it be just contained to that island? Here is a one-shot anthology takeoff from the Hello Darkness series. This was a Halloween special called Hello Halloween from Boom. I got this glow-in-the-dark variant. It's the same price as the regular cover price. It doesn't glow. I was kind of bummed. But it's really, really good art on that cover. And that's by Drew Rosh. So the first few stories in here didn't do a whole lot for me. I think there was maybe one or two good ones in here. This first one by R.L. Stine, just the writing wasn't really very good. The coloring's all kind of brown. Just about these kids who want to create some havoc on Halloween and dress up like zombies and stuff. One of the artists I really like from this series is Hack, and he does these little single panel gags, and all the issues of Hello Darkness have this page, a page from him like this in each one. Here you can see, well, I think your kinks are weird. He's in bed with his chick. He's got a jack-o'-lantern head. He's kids out trick-or-treating with his dad. His shirt says, "World's biggest fucking loser," and it's a picture of his own dad. And then this one, "We warned you, Mrs. Henderson. We warned you about giving out raisins." And she's taking a shit in Mrs. Henderson's jack-o'-lantern. So I really like his art, and his stuff is really clever. But there's never been a full story with his art in it until now. So this next story is all by Robert Hack. And this guy is going into this antique store, and he finds an old Ouija board. They spell it differently there. But he's all excited, and the Ouija board is talking to him through these captions and essentially telling him he's going to be he's the board wielder. There's much to be done. The time of awakening is hand. Glories and riches beyond the scope of your greasy understanding. All this we pledge to you. Just unlock the gate of words. So they want him to unlock the Ouija board and set forth the evil. And you can see a really great splash page illustrating some of the evil, and you've got all kinds of people eating babies and eating their friends, ripping skin off. Crazy shit. The old octopus with a big eye. That's a really great page. And then the climax of it, I'll just spoil it. They didn't want the Ouija board to unlock some shit. And like, he shows it to his lady, and he's like, "Dude, I know, right? It's perfect. It's perfect." And what did they want it for? They wanted to put it up on their display because they're all into like retro stuff. They've got a VHS tape framed, a Game Boy, a vinyl record, an NES cartridge, what looks like a Super NES cartridge, and then the Ouija board in the center. And then they're sitting there like dumbasses on their phones. That was kind of good, but not too good. This one was probably the best. Johnny Pumpkin Time. It's about social media corrupting people, but this guy Johnny Pumpkin Time is telling everyone they're going to win this prize by eating all this yum candy. Who can eat the most of it without barfing and make a video for it will win some incredible, I think it's $5 million is what they're supposed to win. And so this is an awesome sequence here where it shows people trying to eat all this candy and they're just puking and super gross, and you know, people start doing really insane things. This person puts a pencil through their tongue. This person rips out her own eye. It's just all gross. So people just start doing all this weird sicko stuff because of the influence of this guy, this social media influencer guy. And there's a pretty good climactic ending to it. The last one is Sawane. Maybe it's just it's just the second to last one. This is kind of a short one. Art's pretty good on it, but I'm not going to just go into every bit of detail in every single one of these stories. And then the last one, Billy Pritzer talked too much. This was actually, this was a pretty good one too. So this one is by Paul Allore and art by Nick Vendrell. Forgot to mention the creators on the other ones. Anyways, takes place in 1986. And it's like this kid comes to this new town and he's not making many friends, but he starts to influence them to start smashing stuff and toilet papering houses and things on Halloween instead of trick-or-treating. Well, they go trick-or-treating and then they circle back to fuck up everyone's day. And of course, you know, they get their comeuppance for being naughty kids by this cool beast. Let's see what else I read here. I read the new Kryptonite Spectrum. Or actually, this is not the newest one, number 4 just came out. But this series is really great, from the creators of Ice Cream Man, one of my favorite ongoing series in modern times. This one we've got Clark Kent and, is it Billy Batson? Is that the Shazam guy? Anyway, Lex and what's this other guy's name? Dr. Sivana and Toyman. Those are the people. I don't know much about the Superman villains, but they're creating this carnival to take down the superheroes. They go to the carnival and a bunch of stuff happens, but it's like nothing that those guys can't handle. So it doesn't really seem too amazing. Batman's still trying to help figure out what's going on with these crystals, and we figured out that the rainbow one may not be a piece of kryptonite after all. So yeah, I've been enjoying this series a lot. We'll see where it goes from there. There's another new book in the line of alien sighting type stories from James Tynion IV and Michael Avon Oeming on art. This one's called Red Book. It's the first issue of this series. I read the Blue Book. That was good. And it's mostly kind of historical information about stuff in Russia, I believe. Yeah, all these characters in Russia were killed mysteriously out in this. I think they're scientists. They're out in the snow, and they all get taken out. And it was a big mystery, and it was like a big government cover-up. So I think a lot of this stuff is rooted in real-life alien sighting type stories. These books are very entertaining, and they give you a lot for your money. So I'll pick up the rest of that. It's pretty good. And we'll probably be ending off with this, because I think I just heard that timer go off. This is taking it back a ways to 1971. Thrilling Murder Comics. Here's an underground comic for you. Probably a lot of this shouldn't be shown, but whatever. 1971, we've got Bill Griffith, Kim Deitch, Simon Deitch, Robert Crumb, Spain, S. Clay Wilson, and Jim Osborne and Greg Irons. So the Jim Osborne stuff dominates most of this comic, including this really savage splash page on the front there. Really cool opening page too. I love this, how this comic has a lot of this red ink put into it on select pages. Anyways, this is about him trying to meet his deadlines and starts to take these pills to stay awake. He needs his Dexies, and he starts to slam them down, and then he's, go man, go man, go man, getting his art done. And then this creature pops out of his belly and starts telling him to do horrible things. I feel like I've read this story in another underground comic, or maybe I read this comic and then forgot I read it and just reread it thinking I hadn't read it yet. But I can imagine he's going to just do the most horrendous things possible because this guy in his stomach is telling him to. Pretty cool. This is the Griffith story, and I can't say I'm a huge Griffith fan. I've never really read much of Pinhead, but this doesn't appeal to me too much. But this A Fine Way to Die story was really good. Got this weird little frog character, and then this lady who lives in his building who's pretty reprehensible person. And she's taken out the trash, and she discovers a body in the trash, and she's freaking out. She's screaming for help, and she faints. And he comes down to help her out, and he drags her inside, and he goes out to see what's going on, and he sees the body out there by the dumpster. So he consoles her, and he lays with her. And then we'll see, where is it here? Oh, I think I skipped over the page where it happens. Yes, here we go. So he's disposing of the body in this trash can, and he's just in time for the trash guys to arrive, so he sends this corpse off in the trash, and he feels like he's done a great job. Well, turns out he wasn't dead. It was just her husband sleeping off a drunk. That's pretty good. There's one of your classic S. Clay Wilson crazy pages. Super gnarly and awesome. Another Osborne, The Loser. This guy's wanting to take his own life. And yeah, he's trying to and not succeeding, and something horrible happens at the end. Here we got your Crumb, Jumpin' Jack Flash. And this is kind of like about a cult leader type guy. This gross looking hippie dude convincing all these women to be part of his little cult and do his hippie ways. And it's like a death cult. They all want to start killing each other. Here's your Kim Deitch story. At any given moment, a chicken bites the dust. I love Kim Deitch's art. I have to say Hollywoodland was one of the best reads I've found from him. And then there's your Spain in the Gloom of Night. This actually wasn't really such a great story, but I do love Spain. And in the end, we got one last nice S. Clay sideways splash and back cover by Simon Deitch. We'll call it good for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys back real soon.